So you want to start running this year, but you need some advice on the ins and outs and what that would look like. Well, look no further, because in this video, I'll be sharing a beginner's guide on how to start, some of the benefits that you'll be receiving, and how to make running a part of your lifestyle. If that sounds interesting, keep watching. Hey you guys, my name is Cindy Sumber. I am a 3-time Olympic athlete and I have been running for over 15 years now. I have a lot of experience with running. I actually did cross country when I was about 11 or 12. So I did do long distance at a point in my life, but I have not been a distance runner in a while. So I will be sharing from a sprinter's perspective. I will also share just some of the things that overlap, because a lot of running in general is very similar. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself, if this is something you're interested in, is why do you want to start running? Is it because you want the endorphins that come from it? Do you want a sense of accomplishment? Do you want to train towards something, whether that's a marathon, an Olympic Games, or do you just want to do it to see lifetime benefits that you can have later on in life? Well, all of these are good reasons, but I just think it's really important to figure out your why, because that will help you plan how you're going to do this, how much you need to be doing this, and where you need to be doing it. And so I think it's really helpful to know that, because you can truly create a structured plan for you. Now, also figuring out what kind of runner you are. So are you a distance runner? Are you a sprinter? It's really good to figure out what might work best for you, because you can still be considered a runner if you're doing interval workouts, such as a sprinter, or who likes shorter distances but still wants to, get those happy hormones. Like, you can still do all of that in a sprinter fashion. And if you don't like to run very fast, but you just want to be able to do mileage, then you can still do that as well. So there's a wide variety of running you can do, but just getting clear on your why and also the kind of runner you want to become is really important up front, because that will help you figure out, like I said, a plan, and also to stay consistent with that plan. The next thing I want you to consider on this journey is how many realistic days can you actually commit to doing this? So if you're on a busy schedule and you have work every single day, is it something you'll be able to do before work, after work, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, every single day, which I don't recommend, and we'll go a little bit about that later. Is this something that you can realistically incorporate into your lifestyle? Honestly, if you are willing to put 15 to 45 minutes a day, whatever that is for you, this can definitely be a lifestyle for you. I just think you have to figure out what that is, because for me, I have been an athlete, and I knew that after school when I was younger that sports was going to be a lot of my life. So I didn't have a lot of social events. I didn't have, a lot of time where I could hang out with friends. So I knew I had to sacrifice a lot of other things in my life to make this a reality. I think just making sure that you recognize that sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice other things you might want to do in order to make this a lifestyle, whether that's even just waking up earlier and maybe going to bed earlier so that you can actually do that before you go into work. So looking at how many days can I commit to doing this? And I think it's important to remember to start small. So if this is new for you, then committing to maybe 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, but not trying to overdo it all at once so you don't get to a burnout stage is crucial. Now that you have a plan, you know how many days you can do this, you know what kind of workouts you might be looking into, maybe not for sure yet, but you have an idea. The next thing I want you to consider is what types of shoes are you going to be wearing? So shoe apparel is probably the number one thing you want to consider, because you're on your feet so much and the shoes can make or break your workout. It can make you have injuries if you don't choose the right stuff. It can make you, run slower, run faster. I have a whole bunch of different shoes for different purposes, whether that I'm sprinting that day, going all out, whether I have a long endurance sprint day, whether I am doing drills with my running. Like, I literally have different shoes for everything, because they all serve a different purpose. If you do get to a point where you know what you want, and if that's long distance, you want to look at different brands such as Asics. I believe New Balance has really good runner shoes. Look at the different shoe companies, the different brands, and figure out what are the best long distance ones. I will say the ones that are typically better for longer distances have a little bit more support, because you're going to need that when you're going on that long run, versus the ones where I use are super thin and they allow me to go faster because I don't want my feet to feel very heavy while I'm running. So yeah, you're just going to need to know what makes the most sense. Now, I'm not always wearing those thin shoes because, like I said, they all serve different purposes and I have different workouts. So you might still need those light shoes if you are a distance person, because maybe after you do your 3-mile run, you might want to do some quick strides, and in order to feel really quick in those, you want to have something a little bit lighter. So So definitely think about all the different shoes you can have, and I can do another video on that if that's interesting to you or something you might need more help on. So just leave a comment down below and I'll do that. But that is huge, is figure out what works for you, what fits you, and what's the most comfortable. Another thing that is really, really helpful is having the right clothing. So finding different layers of clothing. I think it's really important to have layers. So something I'll see for novice runners or people who are in the beginning stages is they'll just wear, the shorts and the sports bra, which on a really hot day, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal, but I do think it's important to have those layers to keep your body warm and, regulate that body temperature so that as you're warming up, your body isn't instantly like in a shock once you start going onto the run. So I think, for me personally, I have layers of sweats on top of my shorts and my sports bra because that helps me get warm quicker and to my joints to like loosen up. And then as I get into the middle of my workout, I will take that off. If you're just warming up, make sure you have those layers and make sure they're comfortable. So make sure they're loose enough so that you can put them on top of that base, and that'll help you to not, be uncomfortable as you're warming up. Because sometimes I will say I have some that are super, super tight that I just don't even end up wearing because I don't like how they feel on my skin. So yeah, you want to go and you want to try on the different things that feel good, and you want to make sure they all fit you properly. And sometimes I recommend going a size higher. So if you're normally a medium, then maybe go to a large. And if you're normally small, go to a medium. That will make a huge difference. So I touched on this point earlier, but taking it slow at the beginning, I think is going to be really important for you, because for me, I kind of just when I started running, I expected to just be like this Olympic athlete right away. I was like, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be so fast. And this is when I was like 11, when I was doing my distance running days. Mind you, when I tried distance running, I am not a natural distance runner. So running a mile at a time is hard for me. So I remember coming in, I think my sister had already qualified for world championships and stuff at that point, but I had worn all of her gear and I was like, yeah, I'm so cool. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to do all the mileage, beat everybody. And I kid you not, I was humbled in 5 minutes. I remember going on, I think, a 2-mile run with some of my peers, and I was in the back instantly, and I was tired and I was struggling. So if you can, actually, I won't say if, you should take it slow at the beginning. Don't just expect that you're gonna just be the star when you started off and that it's gonna just feel easy. It's gonna take time. It's going to be a process, but if you stick with it, you'll improve. Now, I improved when I was doing distance, but not to the point of my other competitors, because distance just isn't for me. I'm not a distance runner. I have fast twitch muscles. I'm a sprinter by heart. So I learned that very quickly, and I was like, you know what? I'm putting a lot of effort into this and not seeing so much outcome. And if that's you, maybe you need to adjust how you're doing your workouts. And so once I got to high school and I started sprinting, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother different day, because I ended up quitting and I came back. Once I figured out that my whole thing was I am a sprinter, that's when I flourished. That's when I figured out, okay, these are the workouts that work the best for me. So when you do start slow, it also allows you to see what really works. You don't just fall into this trap of I just failed because I didn't even give myself the ability to experiment and to see. I just recommend, like I said earlier, take 2 to 3 days a week first. If you're in high school and you're trying to join a track team, then it's gonna probably be 5 days a week, but hopefully you have a good enough coach to know that they can't just throw you into the fire that quickly, because that's how injuries happen. Speaking of injuries, let's go into some of the negatives first, because there's a lot of positives from running, but I want to highlight the negatives because a lot of people go into this lifestyle not knowing this, and that was kind of my understanding, is you can get injured if you're not careful and things can happen. And so here are just some of the negatives that come along with running if you aren't careful. You can experience runner's knees, shin splints, joint pain, stress fractures, reduced muscle mass, blisters, all those things. So running definitely isn't one of those things that you just want to do every single day, all day. You want to make sure you're being cognizant of, let's not overtrain, because the lists I just shared with you are things that you are very much capable of getting if you're not careful. And I am a big example of that, because when I first started running, I experienced shin splints very quickly. And part of it could have just been my body wasn't used to that amount of load at first, and maybe the wrong shoes, whatever that was. I wasn't careful and I experienced that, and it made me not like it. And I quit, like I said earlier. And I don't want you guys to start this off and quit, because it is nice if you can do it properly, but you just need to be careful not to overdo it. So those are just some of the negatives that come along with this, so that you're aware. But let's go into some of the benefits now, because there are a lot of pros from running as well. So some of the benefits of running include improved cardiovascular health, stronger bones, improved mood and memory, less stress, weight management, better balance and posture, and so many other things. So I absolutely loved the benefits I got from running. I think that there's a lot of good workouts out there, but it's really hard sometimes to like mimic running and like the benefits that come from it. Like I said, there's a lot of endorphins and a lot of happy hormones that come after you're done with a running workout. And sometimes I do struggle to find that in other workouts. There are things like if you do the bike properly and the elliptical, and we'll go into more of those in a minute because I do think those things are useful, but I do think, it is hard to replicate because running just brings a different level of that. So those are the benefits, and I think that if you're on this journey, those are things you can gain and to stick with it. So this is hopefully an encouragement that, if you're doing it well and sticking with it, these are some of the benefits you can get out of it. And honestly, if you're anything like me and you're competitive, you can even maybe make it a job. So it can become something where maybe you get paid to do it one day, who knows? Or you can just get to a point where you run a marathon, which I would never do personally, but if that's you, kudos to you. You get to a marathon, you're like, hey, I accomplished that long marathon and I'm proud of myself, or that 5K or whatever it is. So yeah, there's so many benefits and things that you can get out of doing it. So like I said earlier, it's really hard to replicate it sometimes, but I do think it's important to switch up the workouts you're doing with running. So whether that's the elliptical or that's the bike, or that is, walking, I do think sometimes switching up your routine really helps avoid injury. It's really easy to just think, okay, well, the only workout I'm ever going to do to feel great is running, but there's a lot of reason to incorporate different things and to, give your body that one day of rest. So I like to do the elliptical because it really helps my joints feel better. Right now I'm in a season of doing a lot less running and just more, workouts like that. And I've noticed a lot better of a feeling on my joints, my knees specifically. So if you're feeling that knee pain or anything else, when you do start off, taking a day or two off and going to those other exercises can get you that workout in without the added pressure of running or even swimming. I'm not a swimmer personally, but swimming is also very good for you to replicate kind of the cardiovascular health that I was talking about from running. You can get that same thing from those exercises. It's just a little different. And swimming is super hard too, by the way. So I will never say that those things are easy if you do them properly. I'm just saying that it's just a different thing, but they are helpful and they are good in their own time. Remember to switch it up. Another tip is, if you can early on, include weight training and functional strength. So if you can start lifting weights in addition to your running and doing functional strength, you will be very, very pleased at the outcome, because it's like running gives you a lot of these benefits, but if your body isn't capable of keeping up with it, you'll feel weak when you're running, or your joints might not always feel right, your strength might not be there. And so I think just incorporating that strength component, incorporating the functional strength, so that's like slow movements and different physical therapy exercises you can do, will make the whole experience overall better, and you'll get so much more out of your running. So don't neglect all those other things that you can be doing to increase how much benefit you will see out of your running success. I've incorporated strength training and I became so much better of a sprinter, and I'll attach a video here about some of the gym things I like to do that help me get stronger. The next thing is just don't forget to give yourself enough recovery time. Do not overtrain. It's so easy to be like, I'm gonna go 6 days a week. I feel good. And even if you do feel good those first 2 weeks, it'll catch up with you. I remember being like so excited about my season starting, and I just wanted to keep doing and doing and doing, and then I just did not feel good eventually. And then once you do that, you want to stop completely, and then it's hard to get back on. So give yourself that grace by taking a day off, taking 2 days off. It's okay. You're not going to lose that much fitness by taking 2 days off completely. I mean, like not even running at all. And it really does help you overall to push more, to have more energy, and just to feel mentally strong. Lastly, if you can find someone to help you, like an accountability partner, a friend, a coach. I have a whole team that helps me stay accountable, and I absolutely think it makes a difference in terms of how you feel in the process. So if somebody else is trying to start running, you guys can text each other and be like, hey, how was your run today? Or do you want to go with me? Or, how much did you do? How much do you think I should do today? Like just that little camaraderie, I promise you, will make such a difference. It'll increase your motivation, and it'll just make it more fun. It'll make it more fun. And I've always had training partners in the track world. They've pushed me to be better. But even if you don't have that person literally right next to you, just talking about it with them, knowing what they're doing, seeing that encouragement is helpful. Honestly, you could have online accountability. So I think there are apps that can help you stay accountable with tracking your mileage or tracking what you're doing. But there's also people who are doing what you want to do, going back to their videos and seeing okay, what did they do today? That's accountability. I know for me, sometimes using other people's successes and wins helps me stay accountable to myself. So use that as motivation, not comparison or not jealousy, but just use that as okay, I'm going to use this to help me to do better. So I hope these were helpful for you to start your running journey. I know that it'll be worth it for you, especially if you're determined and you are willing to put a little bit of work and effort into it. You will be fine, you'll enjoy it, and you won't regret it. But like I said, don't overdo it because you can absolutely hate it in the long run if you do. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, share it with a friend, maybe with your training partner, your workout buddy, whoever it is. Share it with somebody who might need to hear these tips and encouragement. Hope you guys liked it, and I will see you in another one. Bye.